I'm speaking today to Janakan Krishnarajah, who is IXBiopharma's Chief Medical Officer. Janakan has both a Bachelor of Medicine and of Surgery and has been involved in over 100 clinical trials. He's currently based in Singapore and has helped develop a sublingual wafer delivery method for medicinal cannabis. Hi, Janakan.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Great. How long has this technology taken to develop?
Okay, so the company started working on this technology over 10 years ago, a couple of years to start off with, back in 2008. And the idea was to develop a novel sublingual delivery technology with the aim of delivering drugs faster and more effectively than conventional methods. So really that research actually was conducted in Australia, and so it started here. The culmination ended up in what we call WaferX, which is a platform technology now, which has now produced sublingual wafers with different actives involved in it. What's special about it is it's manufactured by a proprietary freeze-drying process, so that's quite unique. And we actually do all our R&D and our manufacturing in our TGA-certified GMP manufacturing facility, which is located in Melbourne.
Excellent. And how does the technology work better than just swallowing the medicine?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, sublingual delivery has a number of advantages over obviously ingesting medicine. And the first is, as you'll be aware, is that delivering it under the tongue it can be absorbed directly into the systemic circulation. So it can bypass having to go through the gut, go through the liver, the intestines and the liver, and therefore what we call the first pass effect. That has a couple of advantages. One, for those drugs that have poor oral bioavailability, and what's quite topical now is cannabinoids, which we're looking at. You can actually increase the bioavailability of those cannabinoids by directly absorbing it into the bloodstream through the sublingual mucosa. So that's one. The second is you also can have the benefit of a faster absorption profile, which may translate into a faster onset of effect and onset of action. And so that can be important if you're treating pain or symptoms like anxiety, for example. So those are two. And then the third really comes back to the absorption of oral drugs which are poorly absorbed orally, like cannabidiol, etc., where you actually have a greater variability in absorption. And so if you can imagine, in the case of CBD, oral bioavailability is about 6%. And if you're getting variability on around 6%, say one day you're getting 3, the next day you're getting 9, that's a significant difference in absorption. And also that can lead to differences in tolerability and of course efficacy as well. So it's important that predictability of dosing and absorption as best as possible is one of the features that you can improve with sublingual delivery. So those are sort of the three key areas, three key features that we have. With our technology, starting with that in mind, we wanted to ensure that not only can it disintegrate in the sublingual space, but it actually can be absorbed. So there are a number of factors that determine that. One is the actual, whatever you're ingesting, and I can show you what a little wafer looks like here. That needs to disintegrate firstly. But secondly, the actual matrix that holds that active needs to actually release away from the active, so the active can pass through the mucosa and be absorbed. And that's not as easily done. And so that's where a lot of the work was put into in terms of the types of excipients to be used and then how to actually manufacture that. And so that freeze-drying approach, which is very novel, and we've got a patent around that in most major markets, is actually been designed to hold the active ingredient in an amorphous structure. That is a non-crystalline structure. So a crystalline structure being more rigid, more solid, it breaks down slower, which is not what you want when you want to actually disintegrate rapidly and release active from the matrix. So we retain the amorphosity of the API, which is really important. It's a non-ionic matrix, and that essentially means it doesn't have any ionic bonds and retard or hang on to the active, in simple terms, which is also an important feature of our WaferX technology. So the wafer rapidly disintegrates within a minute, releases the active for absorption, and those are some of the key features that that WaferX has. So we've now applied this technology, and before looking at medicinal cannabis across a range of different pharmaceutical active, and one of those is now a registered product on the ARTG in Australia. Others are in clinical development, moving into phase 3 in the United States and elsewhere. So it's a robust and versatile and validated technology that now applied to cannabis can offer those same benefits that I mentioned before. So rapid absorption, increased bioavailability, and improved predictability of absorption. There's probably two other things that I guess we could probably mention is fixed unit dosing. You know that when you're taking the wafer, you're going to get exactly that amount of milligrams that is being administered, and it's at a convenient dosage form for patients to take as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
No problem. Thanks, Paul.